Hey guys, what's going on? Jessica Q here, aka StogieChik. And happy Tuesday. It has been a minute since I've gone live. I'm really excited to have an interview for you guys. So let's get ready. Hi Darth. Hey guys, what's going on? I see you tuning in. So I'm sure you saw me promoting that I'm going to be conducting an interview today. So I'm going to be waiting for Juan to get on, Juan Lugo. And he is with Don Doroteo Cigars. And I'm sure you've seen me post some of their cigars and just some fun videos on my page. Hi, what's up guys? Hey, hello Martine, what's up? I see you guys, Ricky. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. So I'm just waiting for Juan to get on and we'll go ahead and get started. And oh, I saw him get on. Okay, so let me just wait for a request. Production assistant, could you come here for a second, please? Yes. So welcome to my studio. This is my podcast room where all the fun magic happens here in the NV Media Studios. We're located in downtown Riverside. My production assistant hasn't come back yet, so let's see. So we're just waiting for Juan to send a request, and then I can add him on. Sylvester. He disappeared. I might have to get up and do this myself. So Juan, go ahead. There should be a button on the bottom that has the camera and a plus sign. You can go ahead and there you go. I saw it coming. I'm gonna go ahead and get up. Let's see. Did it work? Did it come on? Yes, there he is.
Hey, what's up?
There we go.
How you doing?
What's going on? How are you?
Good. Hanging out here.
Welcome to my studio.
Thank you. It's very professional. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So if you ever want to do a podcast and you're in the Inland Empire, you're more than welcome to come down and record a podcast.
I'll stick to cigars for now.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
But,
So what's up?
Super excited to have you on today, and we're gonna go ahead and talk and smoke. And I picked up Macallan 12. I saw that you recommended it as a pairing.
Yep.
With the El Ligado. So I'm gonna go ahead and light up. Are you gonna be smoking with us too?
I'm capped out for the day. I already smoked 2 for the day, so I'm trying to pace myself here. I'm doing these videos all the time now, so I'm like, okay, let me chill out a little bit.
You're like,
I'll be drinking though. So
okay.
I'm drinking Mamajuana. I don't know if you're familiar with Mamajuana. It's a traditional drink, rum in Dominican Republic. I'll show you the bottle here. So pretty much it got a bunch of like herbs and spices in there.
Yes.
And so you fill it up with rum and then you put some wine and some honey and let it ferment for a while. So it's pretty cool. And I've been letting it sit there for a while. So
nice.
Yeah.
I went to DR last summer and I did try it. And yeah, it was good. I should have brought a bottle back though.
Yeah. It's cool because you can make your own and then, get wasted.
Oh, so you made that?
Yeah. So pretty much it comes, the bottle, more often than not, it comes empty. So there won't be any liquor in or anything, just the herbs and spices. And so you get to choose which rum or whiskey you want to use, what kind of wine you want to use, and then the amount of honey versus wine versus liquor. And then you got to let it sit. And the longer you let it sit, the stronger it gets. So it's cool.
Nice. So how long has that been sitting there? How strong?
A couple months. It's been sitting for a couple months. It's like super dark. You can tell.
I see that. Yeah, it is super dark. Could you bring the air filter and like plug it into this? I think it's in the conference room. Thank you. I got my here. Yeah.
You got your birthday coming up, right?
For the day. Yeah, we close the office at 5, so I'm like,
nice.
I get to hang out and smoke a cigar in my office.
I know, right? Can't complain.
So yeah, so super excited. Let's just jump into this. So I did mention to everybody, if you had any questions for Juan today, feel free to jump on. As long as they're appropriate questions, then I'll go ahead and read them out, and Juan, you can answer them. But I do have like a list of questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
First, I do want to start off with, so El Ligado, 1936. They're, I mean, you have a lot of stories behind this brand and everything. And uh, so this is the wrapper is Sumatra seed grown in Ecuador.
Yep.
Sumatra seed grown in Ecuador. Filler is Colombian, Dominican Republic, and Nicaraguan. So
Yes.
I love that. That's cool. So do you want to like kind of tell us a little bit about this cigar and how it came about and why it's 1936?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So this blend in particular was a, I guess, a birth child of the master blender from La Aurora, Manoli Noah, who's, if you're in the industry, you know he's an OG. He's been in the game for a long time. Has, put together some very special blends. And then you have my team, which is comprised of obviously myself, Brandon Dahlman, one of my co-founders out of Nebraska, and also Jeff Moss, creative director for Don Doroteo. So Jeff Moss has been in the industry for, God, I don't know how long, more than a decade. I know that for sure. He worked with Alec Bradley for over a decade, essentially helped them build, them to where they are now from a creative standpoint. He's a wizard when it comes to that kind of stuff. I call him, he's like Kanye West. So yeah, I kind of like let him run that ship. He's the one that designed the bands, the logos, designs, the boxes. If you were at PCA and you saw that booth we had, awesome design. That was also him as well. A lot of the stuff with the website, between him and his wife Angie Moss, she's awesome as well. So as far as putting the blend together, obviously you could tell I probably haven't been smoking as long as Jeff Moss. Jeff Moss, has been in the game a long time. I'm only 32. So needless to say, my palate is nowhere near as his, right? So we pretty much got together, and I leaned a lot on Jeff and Brandon because they have a well-developed palate. They've been smoking for longer than, I've probably been alive. And obviously Manoli Noah, right? He's the master blender for a reason. So we all got together and we started talking about like what it is that we want to do. In particular for me, I wanted to make sure that we more importantly make a cigar or put together a blend that we like, that we enjoy versus what we'll sell. So we weren't really about like, let's just push for the numbers. Let's just get the quantities out there. It was more about quality. So with that said, the age obviously was important. So we have a 14-year-old blend, which is crazy for a boutique company, out the gate, debuting at PCA and then having a 14-year-old stick. And the only reason that we were even able to have access to that reserve of, all those kinds of goodies, all those well-aged cigars, was because of my grandfather, Doroteo. So that's where the name Don Doroteo comes from. So my grandfather had a partnership with La Aurora since 1936. So his father passes away. My great grandfather passes away, and so my grandfather was the oldest of six, and he had to essentially take on the role of like man of the house, so to speak. Right? We're thinking like third world country back in 1936. He left school. He was in high school, left school, and now he's like, I gotta provide for my siblings and I gotta help my mother provide. And the only thing he knew how to do was harvest tobacco. That's what my great grandfather did. That's what my grandfather did. That's, my parents were involved in that trade as well. So it's kind of been in the family forever.
Uh-huh.
And I guess I just never really cared much for it. And I'm not saying that in the sense of like, I took it for granted. It was more so like I was removed from it. I grew up in New York City, in Harlem, and then I'm like in Washington Heights, Harlem. And what I saw was like Jay-Z on the TV and all this shit. And I'm thinking like, that's what I want to do. I'm like, I'm not thinking about like my heritage, my culture, any of that jazz. But, fast forward a couple of years, here we are. So obviously it meant a lot. So that's where the 1936 comes from. That's when he had the partnership with La Aurora since then.
Okay, awesome. So, wow. And I in the comments coming in, but lots of compliments about the band being beautifully designed. And so
Yeah.
a lot of people are already, becoming fans of your cigar and your brand. So that's awesome. And
I appreciate it.
yeah, and yeah, you guys are strong though. You guys are definitely coming strong. I see a lot of people really like talking about your cigar, so it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of internet, or I'm sorry, on Instagram, or I have one sip and I'm done. No, but yeah, people send cigars all the time, but it's
Yeah.
like talk about all the cigars that we get sent. No, not.
Right. Right.
And so great cigar. So glad to have tried it. I really enjoy and love the case that you guys sent. Which let's talk about the case really quick. So this is the case, and you guys are now going to offer it.
Yeah. So I'm working with a leather company out of Ukraine, of all places, and that wasn't purposeful. That's just kind of the way it worked. I found out after the fact that the team was based out of Kyiv, so this was months back. So back when everything was hitting the fan, I got with the team, and I'm like, okay, I started making initial orders, but these orders were not. I never intended to sell these cases. So these cases were all. I come from a marketing background in tech. So for me, it's all about presentation and delivery and, everything from the band to the cigar to the way you receive it, the package you receive it in. So for me, it was all about that purposeful, intentional, like marketing, like I treated it like a campaign. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make these badass cases. I'm gonna give them away to all the people that I follow, that I look up to, that I admire on the space, right? And with all the feedback, I'm like, I feel like I got to add this to the merch list because all these people keep asking for it, and we've had a lot of good feedback on it. So I figured, you know what, let's work with the team. And then I find out these guys are based out of Kyiv, and while all this stuff is happening, all the attacks between them and Russia, they had to pause the manufacturing a couple times. But these guys are badass. Like they will stop and tell me like we can't do anything for a couple hours, and then they will go back to the factory. Yeah, and they will come back to the factory, keep going. I'm like, I don't even know if these cases are gonna make it to the U.S. And somehow they keep coming. So
Okay, so
yeah,
for sale, they are available now.
not yet. So I'm doing all the back end stuff now. I don't want to just drop the cases. Kind of in the same vein as I was saying, like I want to do everything like big splash. We're gonna drop all the merch all at once. So when all the merch or merchandise.
Okay.
So when we announce the leather cases going live in October, it's also going to be paired with everything else you can imagine as far as merchandising goes.
So November.
October.
October. Oh, October. Okay, perfect. So perfect time for holiday gifts. I'm gonna throw that
Yep.
out. Whoever you get this for is gonna love it. Or you know what? You can get yourself one. Beautiful. So
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, love this. And okay, so total years that your family has been in the industry.
Shit. That I know for certain, the early 1900s. Like I said, my grandfather started that partnership with La Aurora at age 16 in 1936. But by then, he had already been working with my great grandfather, following in his footsteps from an adolescence. Mind you, going back to like the third world bit. Life in a third world country, second world country is very different from here. First world. As far as like schooling and all that, that's not the priority. The priority is like, can we eat tonight? Making ends meet. And so it's very common in Latin America and all the vast majority of third world countries where the sons and daughters will take on the family trade, and they will work with their parents in order to collectively make ends meet. And so, I can't give you an exact date, but I know for certain that my great grandfather was in the trade as well, and I mean he dates back late 1800s, so
probably like the late 1800s. That's amazing.
probably yeah.
This is like history. I love it.
Yeah.
So you want to tell us who you are working with the DR?
Yeah, so I to honor kind of like what my grandfather did his whole life, I essentially went directly to La Aurora. I didn't go around shopping around. I went straight to them. Once I had an idea of what I wanted to do, because I sat with this for a long time. I've been putting this together, this whole plan since 2020. So when COVID hit, I sat right here on my deck and I would smoke with my younger brother, Missile, and we would just smoke cigars and think about like, all the crazy ideas we had. One of which was, I wanted to take on my grandfather's legacy, but then we got hit with the like, all the resources it takes to make that happen financially and like connections in the Dominican Republic, so on and so forth. So I came kind of to like a roadblock where I was like, okay, this is going to be nearly impossible. This is crazy. to try to reignite that partnership. It's been, my grandfather passed away 11 years ago. So it would be difficult to kind of retrace those steps and be like, okay, let me try to figure out who it was exactly that he worked with, and hopefully they give me the time of day. But fortunately, I just looked them up on Google. I was like, La Aurora's phone number in Dominican Republic, and then I dialed and I was like, hey, what's up? This is Juan Lugo. I'm such and such. I'm Doroteo's grandfather. Like, who? And so I worked through the chain. I try to get to like the highest person possible, and then finally I got with somebody like a salesperson, and they were like, "Okay, cool. Let me fact check." So they come back like a week later, and they're like, "All right, cool. Everything checks out." So they,
Real.
yeah, they actually like look through their sources, I guess, and because one of the names I name dropped everyone I could, and they were like, "Okay, yeah, we'll double check with that person," and then we were cool from there. So from that point, they immediately opened their doors up to me, which was like, I was like, this is kind of crazy. I think they're really based on relationships. So one thing that I've learned to appreciate from La Aurora, they don't have a lot of private labels under them, kind of like Don Doroteo. They work for only a select few of people. You can count probably in two hands the companies that they work with, boutiques and private labels. And the reason for that is they value relationships and the folks that are running the companies more so than any bottom line. And that's very different from what you'll find with, other players in the space. So anyways, that's kind of like how it went about.
Okay. How exciting. So
Mm-hmm.
Paul, that they were like willing to work with you and bring back your great grandfather's legacy.
Yep.
How did you feel? Were you like, were you
I
like,
was,
like sometimes you just know something's gonna happen.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I just gotta keep working towards it. Like, or was,
yeah.
I mean, how was it?
I'm pretty, anyone that knows me, and there's a couple people here on the call right now, probably, and a few people that will listen later, that know that I'm very persistent. So in my head, I was like, once I said to myself, like, okay, I'm gonna pursue this. From that moment forward, I knew like, okay, this is happening. I don't give a shit. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna make this happen. And that's how I am with everything. Like I'm very intentional, and I like to, I don't want to come off like arrogant, but I'm just very, persistent with whatever it is I'm trying to pursue. So in this manner, I was no different. I was
Yeah,
just like, okay,
like you're not gonna let anything stop you. Whatever.
no, yeah. So when I get, it's conviction. That's what it was. So I felt the conviction. I'm very passionate not only about my family, my grandfather in particular. He was my idol growing up. So for me, it was like some of the the coolest moments for me thus far in this journey have been seeing my grandfather plastered on PCA, and then having people like, whoa, like, into the story and all that. That for me is everything. So, I was not going to let anything get in the way of me getting to that point. So when I was talking to La Aurora, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I'm, from a business standpoint, I'm trying to think like, what is their angle? Why are they playing along with this, right? So the whole time I was kind of like curious to go deeper down the rabbit hole so I could learn more like what their angle is. And then the deeper I got, and when I got really close to the master blender, Manoli Noah, I learned like this dude is like, um, he is super down to earth. Like he's very knowledgeable and everything. He's an OG in his own right, but like he's very down to earth, and he is very like loving. Like he just kind of wanted to mentor me. So it was really cool to see that, you would think like a corporation, you're like, oh, these guys are just trying to, keep getting the bigger piece of the pie, but it wasn't the case.
That wasn't the case.
No.
They wanted to work with you and help you and continue the legacy. That's so
Yep.
awesome. Love it. So what makes your company different from the vast majority in the industry? So what makes you guys different?
I mean, we already mentioned obviously being a boutique brand, having a 14-year cigar that set the bar really high for us. So I'm thinking like, okay, the next release is going to be PCA 2023. A lot of folks are pushing us to do like TPE or whatever the case, and I said no, let's wait. I'd rather wait a full year so we could really hit a home run again. So the next one, same. I'm trying to. We set the bar high with this 14-year stick because I want to continue that. So for the next one, I'm really excited to kind of see the reaction from all the folks when we release the next one there. So that obviously that's one angle. More importantly for me, you know, we're one of the few companies that actually have our own farm in the Dominican Republic. Like we don't just go to a farm and we're like, hey, take a picture of me real quick next to some plants. Like my cousin Aaron Fernandez, who I served in the Air Force with, he is living in Dominican Republic right now, and I call him all the time. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like right now, there's a hurricane, right? There's a hurricane in Puerto Rico and in Dominican Republic, and there's crazy amount of rain, and there's like mudslides, all kinds of stuff. That is actually affecting our business. So we're like boots on the ground, actually like taking care of these things like every single day. So that's definitely a major key that I definitely was not too shy to talk about during PCA. I made sure people knew, like, you know, we're not just a random company that comes out. We're like, hey, we got a little bit of money. Let's go ahead and start selling cigars. You know, that would be a cool little flip. For us, this is like real. Like we take this very serious, and in fact, that land that where the farm is located, that's actually the land where my father grew up. So that's the land that's been in the family for decades.
Okay. So
Hmm.
history. You have a farm. So you guys are different. And then let's talk about a little bit about the 14-year age cigar. So, because you say, you know, from seed to, you know, cigar. Like, can you explain that so everybody
Yeah,
understands?
yeah. So, you know, typically when I say you, I mean companies, when they get through the fermenting and aging process, um, you know, they like to, from what I've seen, and I'm thinking like bigger names, they like to push out, you know, it's all the quantity over quality. I always like to do things a little unorthodox, and that's not only like in cigars, it's everything. Even the inception of the company, the way we did that was through going against the grain. So as it pertains to the cigar, um, everything from the seed all the way to the point where the cigars got rolled, it's all a 14-year-old cigar. And I love, my favorite thing was at PCA, you know, getting the feedback from the people. So when I'm sitting there, I'm pitching the whole story. I'm telling them like, hey, try the cigar, and I hand it to them, and then they're like looking at me all skeptical, and then they smoke it, and they're like, oh, okay, it's for real. And I'm like, yeah, it's for real.
Good.
Uh,
Yeah, it's super good.
so
So, okay, I did notice a couple questions come in. So, what somebody's asking, how many acres in the farm? That's one
we have 20 acres. So not the biggest farm, but for us, it's about,
farm.
huh?
I said it might not be the biggest, but you have a farm.
No,
That's
we got a legit farm. And for me, I was like, dude, I'm from New York City. I don't know the first thing about agriculture, but I'm gonna figure this out. And my cousins, you know, we're all in the same boat. So La Aurora was super clutch in this as well. They gave us all the resources, not only on the cigar blending and all that jazz, but also on the you know, everything related to and pertaining to agriculture, whether that's sourcing work, getting the right folks that they trusted, and passing them down to us so that we can work with them, whether it's an agronomist, whether it's a greenhouse to source the seeds that we're going to transplant, everything from A to Z. So it was like a crash course for us, especially for my cousin Aaron, because he's pretty much working hand in hand with these folks. And every day he's like, you know, he's dealing with the natural elements. He's managing a group of people. And like, when I say he's managing a group of people, we're talking about, you know, folks that came over to the Dominican Republic, Haitians. Some of them didn't even speak Spanish. um, he's dealing with a lot of, you know, some folks that love him to death, but some of them are nut jobs. Some of the locals that we hired, but for me, it was about, I was really adamant about hiring locals because I wanted to give back to the local community. So I served as a therapist here and there for my cousin Aaron. I felt bad, you know, he always had to have the shit under the stick on that end, but nonetheless, it was cool. Like, even, you know, everything on the farm has been kind of off the cuff, and just, we're just playing it by ear, so to speak. Like, our first harvest, I didn't even think we were gonna have anything that was gonna be feasible or usable for La Aurora. But lo and behold, like at the end of it, we actually had like thousands of pounds of tobacco, and we had some wrapper quality tobacco, but then it started raining too much, and then that diluted the quality of the plant. They were oversaturated, and so it dropped the quality to binder. But for for being a first time farmer, like that's amazing. Like, we had thousands of pounds of binder, and La Aurora like loved it. Their agronomist they would send over, he was all for it. So we're like thinking like, okay, that was our trial run. That was our first go at it. I can only imagine like what we're gonna do next. So for this next one, we're actually working with an OG from Nicaragua. I met him at PCA, and he's been instrumental in many companies that we know and love today. He's been working with some of those OGs since the early 90s. So I presented the cigar to him, and we smoked, and we chopped it up a bit, and we hit it off well. So he agreed to help me out at the farm. I told him, like, I want to use this farm as like a lab, like an incubator. Like, let's grow some shit that doesn't grow in Dominican Republic. That's very difficult to grow because of the natural elements or what have you. So that's what we're doing.
Is that a little teaser going into what might come out in 2023?
Yes.
Okay, I like it. And you know what? The suspense is going to have everybody super excited about it too, wanting to know more. So I can't wait for 2023 PCA.
Be exciting.
Awesome. So somebody else asked, and I know you said it earlier, but what are you drinking? They want to know. People are tuning in later on, and they see you sipping on something. They want to know what you got.
I saw that question. Homegirl from Canada. I'm drinking Mamajuana. So my brother gave me this from one of his trips to Dominican Republic. Mamajuana, for those that don't know, essentially is like a traditional rum in Dominican Republic and the Caribbean in general. Essentially, you buy the bottle, it comes with the herbs and spices, and then you have to fill it up with whatever rum or whiskey you prefer. And then you add some wine, some red wine, and some honey, and then you let it sit in a dark place, you ferment. It's like the drinks that you make in prison, essentially, but with fancier looking bottle and herbs and spices and stuff.
So one thing, when I was in DR, every like little store, they would like give you a sample. You would walk, like in Mexico, you go and they try to give you tequila. But in DR, it was that drink. Like everywhere you go, they'd be like, "Here, try this." I'm guessing they must make it themselves, and then they want to sell it. That's cool.
Yeah, it's the country. I love my country. It's a party country. All the highways. I joke because I'm like, yo, this country is full of alcoholics. all the highways are sponsored by the local rum, Brugal. Everywhere you go, you see Brugal this, Brugal that.
Oh my gosh! Right,
and so. Hey, but that's island life,
It'd be like an oxymoron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't drink and drive.
Yeah, exactly. But you can put bottles in your trunk, and it's fine.
Yeah, they actually have drive-throughs in DR that are just for liquor, so you could get your open carry drink through a drive-through like a Starbucks, and then just get back on the road.
What? How did I miss that?
Yep.
That was a good video. That's funny. I didn't even notice. So next time I go, I'm gonna look for one of those.
There you go.
So yeah, let's keep going on. Let's see. Okay, so we kind of talked about your farm in the. So you've obviously been there.
Yeah, of course.
Gone a lot. Have you gone like multiple times? Like, are you going? Like, do you have like a set schedule you visit? Because it sounds like your cousin is helping you out there, and he's kind of like, is he a manager? Of like
he's essentially director of agriculture of all the operations in Dominican Republic. He does more so than that too. So whenever we have a new line coming out, and he did this for El Legado as well, he'll go to the factory and then he will make sure just adding to the quality control, just essentially making sure that the packaging, everything. So like I was saying earlier, when I send out packages to you and whoever else, I made sure that it looked a certain way, it was sent a certain way. So whenever everything's getting ringed, when the cigars are getting the ring or the sleeve that we had on there, when everything's getting boxed, we made sure it was pristine. So he would show up and then make sure that he's watching them throughout the whole, period that they were boxing these cigars. And so, as far as Dominican Republic is concerned, I go whenever I can. Mind you, on the state side, there's so much going on, not only events, but there's so much retailers, so on and so forth. And now we're going to have to do a little trip to Nicaragua as well to see, to work on that little project that we talked about briefly.
Nicaragua
Just teasing on that project. That's all. I'm gonna keep bringing that up.
So you do have 4 cigars in your line so far, right? Or are they? Because I'm I'm checking out the website before we get
Yeah.
on. Like so can you tell me about these other cigars?
Yeah. So we only have launched El Legado, right? So we still have 3 more coming up. So we have El Vencedor, and it all pertains to the story of Doroteo. My grandfather had a pretty crazy story, a pretty crazy life, and so I wanted to pay homage with all the stories that are tied to each specific line. So there's one called El Alcalde, for instance, which translates to the mayor, which is a milestone in his life when he was mayor of his county, and he wasn't educated because he dropped out at a very early age to provide for the family. So it was something that he was kind of forced on him through his constituents of the neighborhood because they just saw him as like a leader within the local community. So there's one that's paying homage to that. There's another one that's called La Reserva Familiar, the family reserve. And that one in particular, I'm really excited about because I'm going to work in Andullo, if you're familiar with Andullo tobacco. That's something that my grandfather sold and was really big on. And he had like a farmer's markets of sorts in the campo, in the countryside in Dominican Republic, and he sold Andullo there. So that's something that I want to work into that blend. Have you smoked the La Aurora's ADN by any chance?
No, I haven't tried that one yet.
Okay, so that if you haven't tried that one, go ahead and try that one. That one has a lot of andullo in it, and ADN is essentially the DNA of the Dominican Republic. That's what it stands for, and andullo is a pillar of that. So.
Okay, so what about your dad? Because I mean,
Yeah, my dad, he co-leads the farm operations. So last year, he actually retired. So he lived in New York City for like about, between New York and Pennsylvania, he lived for about 40 years. He migrated here in the 80s. And he tells me, he's like, yeah, I'm going to retire. I'm tired of working, yada, yada. So he goes to DR. And then I tell him, like, hey, so I just I'm going to buy that farm off of you guys. And then I essentially just hired him right after that. And I'm gonna have you run it. How's that sound? And he's like, nah. And so, but my dad has always been pretty entrepreneurial himself here in the States, and always like a busy body. He always needed to be working and doing something. So I knew it was a matter of time. I was like, let him, kick back and whatever and retire. And meanwhile, I worked with Aaron, my cousin. And so within a few weeks, my dad was like coming out of his skin. He was dead bored. And so he started with little things, just like, oh, let me run that errand for you. Oh, I know that person. I'll go talk to them. And then next thing you know, he's calling me like, hey, we need to do this and do that. And, so he's completely like fell in love with the project and owned it. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
I love.
But
I
yeah.
your family together now. Is your brother also a part of this? Because you said you have a younger brother.
Mm-hmm. My brother's still in college here, so he's gonna finish that up. I think he's like at a crossroads where he lives in Silicon Valley. So I lived in the valley too for many years, and I got caught up in that whole world of like technology and crypto and Bitcoin and startups and all this jazz. And I think he's in the heat of that right now, right? He's in that mix, so he's kind of trying to weigh his options. But it is a family oriented. Huh?
You're into the crypto and all that.
Yeah. Crypto, like I was saying about being unorthodox, about the inception of this company. This company wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for crypto. That's what made this possible.
Do you have? I'm sure we have some viewers that might actually be interested in hearing something about crypto. I'm not too familiar with it, but any pointers or anything you want to throw out there, or can they reach out to you if they need help? I mean,
yeah, I mean, I've been doing this for 5 years. My co-founder Brandon, same thing. We met through crypto in the dark web or whatever you want to call it. We were both, on there inquiring about different tokens, about this and that. And then we met up, and he had like a weird avatar, weird name. I had the same thing. It was super like anonymous.
yeah.
And then we got cool over time, and then we were like did a call like this, and they were like, okay, I know what your face looks like now, real names, everything. And then we finally met up in San Juan, Puerto Rico last year in June. And we were celebrating, you know, earning some, finally making something out of crypto. And while we're there, he whips out a case like this. And he goes, "Hey, check this cigar out. You know, are you into cigars?" I'm like, "Yes, I am." And so we started talking about that. And then next thing you know, he's like, "Hey, you're Dominican, right? You ever thought about like going into business? Do you have any ties to the industry?" And so I just candidly tell him my family story, and he was like, "Oh, we need to do this." And I was like, "Yes, I've been waiting for this." So from that moment forward, we just kind of went ham, and that was exactly, I would say, a year and 2 months ago.
Okay.
So kind of crazy
That,
how fast.
that kiss was for Whiskey Girl Josie, by the way. I'm reading the comments while you're talking, so
Yes, I
she,
are cool like that too.
so I was blowing her a kiss. And then your cousin Samantha said she was proud of you, by the way. I just wanted to
Thank you, Sam.
um,
But yeah, anyways, as far as crypto's concerned, yeah, we're still in that world. I'm still managing some opportunities there with Brandon. So it's kind of funny. We'll get on a call and we're like strictly just talking cigars, and then we'll get on another call and we're like, you know, talking about this other nonsense, all related to crypto, what have you. But as far as like what advice I could give there, just if you want to keep all your hair and you don't want to be stressed out of your mind, don't go to crypto. It's a crazy world.
it is a crazy world. Okay, wait. Let's talk about what are they called? NFTs?
Yeah.
What about those things?
So we actually have an NFT project we've been working on for over a year. And this NFT project, I actually am doing crossover with Don Doroteo. I'm going to incorporate the cigar in some of the NFTs. I'm going to incorporate the box design. It's going to play on to the other brand that we have within the crypto space, but I'm finding ways to kind of just drop Doroteo in there here and there.
Yeah.
Um, so there's some cool crossover there, but yeah,
You're like blending it together here and there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
wherever I can.
Why not? Exactly. I love it. Um, so okay, so okay, let's see. I know you kind of talked about some of the questions you kind of already answered. Your plans for next year, that something special is coming out 2023 PCA, so you guys want to be there or tune in. I'm sure people will be going live and happens, right?
Yep, I was live at 22. I'll be
Good.
live here again, and
What's that?
I'm also. I said I was live last time, so I'll be live again, and I'm also gonna be at TPE. So we managed to book that. So that was actually sold out. That show is growing like crazy. Yeah, TPE. But we managed to squeeze our way in because, like I said earlier, they told me like we don't have any slots available, and I was like, no, 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 we're gonna work something out. So they finally got annoyed, and they were like, okay, cool, we'll give you we'll give you a booth, and just leave us
The
alone.
persistence. That's the persistence that worked, right?
Mm.
Perfect. So wait, you're gonna be at TPE? Are you gonna have a booth or are you just going?
We're gonna have a booth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Have you been to TPE?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's huge. It's big.
Yeah.
And the party that they have the first night, you gotta go to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're there for the whole thing. I mean,
It's
um, I,
awesome.
I'm actually excited because I know there's crossover with the other industries, cannabis, vape, and all that, which I think it's cool because it plays so different, slightly different demographic, right? Can't fake that.
Ash, your cigar produces. Look at that. Beautiful.
Beauty.
I mean, the quality of this cigar is amazing. It's such an amazing cigar. The flavors and everything. I love it. And it does pair well with a McAllen. The welcome party. Oh, Josie said the welcome party. She knows. It's gonna be a good time. You're gonna enjoy it. So, where can people find your cigars? Everybody wants to know, where can they find your cigars?
Everybody's been asking me, and my DMs are crazy. My emails, people blowing me up like, you keep putting all this content, all this marketing. Where can we get it? So we're still working with on the list there. So all I can say is it's gonna come out soon. All the places you can get it. So far we have London, Italy. We're working on France, Spain. In the U.S. is a couple states, but primarily, I my key thing was online, and the reason I did that was because I don't want to be in every mom and pop shop. I don't think that's the best place to put a 14-year-old well blended cigar.
Yeah.
It's kind of like unorthodox again. Like I'm going, instead of hitting up, praying and spraying, as they say, and trying to get anyone I can. I'm going the opposite way. I'm only reaching out to lounges and shops that I resonate with, as far as like the caliber and the quality. Just going with like top
Eight,
shelf stuff.
eight Lounge in Vegas. You need
Yep,
everybody to be
yep.
able to find it in Vegas. So, because it's a special cigar. So when they go there, they can find your special cigar. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, so that's one piece of it. But even more from a business standpoint, and a strategic standpoint, I want to make sure that whatever relationship I create through the cigars, I can nurture and continue to feed. And so what I mean by that is, being a boutique, we only have 33,000 of these bad boys. So if I only have 33,000 and I'm sending that first order to whoever will take it, then what's going to happen the second and third and fourth time someone puts in an order, and then I get to them and I say, sorry, I can't fulfill that order for you because we're out. So to circumvent that, I'm going to be very selective as far as like who we work with. And then on the back end, what I'm doing is I'm working with La Aurora right now. We're going to have a 10-year-old blend. So this is a 14. We're going to have a 10-year-old blend ready to go, but I'm not going to start selling that immediately. I'm actually going to age that 4 years before we put it out on the market. Because I want the taste and everything to be, across the board, be standard. So we're going to wait those 4 years in order to get that profile.
Okay. Perfect. And people will wait. People buy cigars and put them in their humidor and let them sit for years, So,
and also, in the meantime, the way I look at it is like you just said earlier, we have 4 different lines, right? We're going to
yeah.
Exactly. So I'm releasing another one at PCA 23, 24, 20. Like I'm going to continue doing that and working with La Aurora, Manolinoa, to put out bangers one after the other. So while the 10-year-old legados are maturing and aging, we're going to have other ones along the way. So it's not, like we just go missing for 4 years.
Ask you some questions about you and your cigar experiences. So how long have you been smoking cigars?
3 years.
Okay.
When I say smoking cigars, I mean like actually smoking cigars.
Okay, when's the first time you had a cigar?
My adolescence.
Okay. Too young?
So
You want to talk about
from Doroteo actually. So funny story. He used to come over to my house in New York City. He would, it was a cramped apartment. It's a very small apartment, and he would come over like once a year. And my mom would tell me the day of, like, talk about communication. Hey, your grandfather's coming. You're gonna give him your room. I'm like, what? So he would come and he would stay in my room. I'm just like pissed off, I'm a kid. And then, he would take us to the park a lot. So he would take my brother, and he would take my cousin Aaron, who's in DR working on the farm. We all lived close to each other. So he would take all of us to the park. And every day he was like this, he was just smoking his cigars that he rolled himself. And then every day I was just like, I wonder what that tastes like. So I kept asking and asking and asking until one day, finally, he was like, all right, dude, just don't tell your mother.
Don't tell your mother.
So I was like 9 or 10 years old. So I go and I'm like, instead of like inhaling, I exhale. So he's just like, what the heck? Give me the cigar back. And he was mad. And then,
did you get sick?
No, I didn't, because I didn't inhale. I exhaled.
So you just kind of you blew it out?
Yeah. And then his cigar was all like weird, and then he got mad. But fast forward, he actually he used to roll his own box press cigars, and he used to tie them in a gold little ribbon. And one year he came and he forgot them in my closet. So he left back to the Dominican Republic and left a box press pack of like 6 or 7 cigars, and they were all tied up in a nice little bow. And I don't think he did it intentionally, but he definitely forgot them. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, oh shit. So I took them and I hid them right away so my mom doesn't go asking. And I was experimenting with those, but that was probably the first time I really.
Together, were you like, hey guys, you want to smoke cigars?
Yeah, we were bad little shits. We used to do a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, so that's when I first started. And then The first time I really enjoyed a cigar, I would say, was when I was deployed in Iraq. The first time I was like 19 or 20. We couldn't get our hands on any alcohol. It was a dry base, because you're at war. So the only thing we could get our hands on was Cuban cigars. That's the only thing that we could get our hands on. And because we were in Iraq, they didn't care about the embargo. So, this is back 2009 time frame. So I'm in Al Asad, Iraq, and my buddies and I used to, after our shift or before our shift, we used to go to our bunker. There was like a nearby bunker in case like there's the alarms go off and there's some kind of attack. You would have to go in there. So we would go there just to hang out. So we had like lawn chairs in there. We would just hang out in there and smoke Cuban cigars, play dominoes, that kind of thing.
Have you met Cigars for Warriors yet?
I did. They were actually near my booth at PCA.
Were they? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some like collaboration that needs to happen there, right?
Yep.
Especially, you know what's up. You've been deployed. You needed a cigar, so you appreciate the fact that what they do, they make sure that whoever's fighting for a country gets that cigar that they want. So.
Yep. And so we talked about that, and we also talked about helping them with crypto. So finding a way where we can send funds to vets that are active duty, deployed, and finding ways to send them currency, send them money without having to go the cumbersome ways of, whether it be through a wire or whatever the case, PayPal. So yeah, we talked about all that stuff.
That's awesome. I love it. So you really got connected at PCA.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about people that you met. Did you like any like really interesting people that you met that really stood out to you while you're at PCA?
Yes. So one of my highlights of that trip was meeting Klaus Kellner from the Davidoff family.
Oh.
So same age as me, I believe. And but the most important thing there is Davidoff, or Brandon and I, they're like, we idolize them. They're 20 minutes away from our farm in Dominican Republic. And, I idolize them so much to the point where I found the same person that built their curing barns, and I had them build our curing barn. And I wanted an exact replica of Davidoff.
There's.
Yeah. So I thought, huh?
That's awesome. So
it's crazy.
You guys so much?
Yeah. So we built that, and then if you look at the 3-pack, the box of cigars, the curing barn you see on there, that's the same one.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, the exact replica there. So when I was at PCA, they didn't have a booth, but they attended. They were just walking around. And when I saw him, that was the only person that I saw that I was like, oh shit. Like I got starstruck. I was like, I gotta talk to this guy. So I spoke to him, and then I was like, yo, can I bother you to come over to our booth and check us out, smoke our cigar and whatever. And I could tell he was on his way out, but he was super cool. Like he's like, yeah, no worries, let's go over there. So he heard my whole spiel. I told him, like, hey, look at that curing barn real quick. Does that look familiar? And he just looked at me like, what the heck? And I was like, yeah, bro, like I look up to you guys. I love what you guys have done, your family legacy, because they're very family oriented as well. And I love that piece about it. And so, yeah, so we chopped it up. He gave me his number. He's like, hey, next time you're in DR, hit me up. So that was really cool. Another person that was really neat to meet was Lito Gomez from La Flor Dominicana. So I met Lito, Rocky Patel. I saw him in passing. I saw Rocky Moore and Nish in the lounges. Those guys like to party a bit. So after hours, I saw them like wherever I went, and then the music would stop. The music just stops, and everyone was like, "Oh, they're here." So that was cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. So you had a really great time. Yeah, you're making me like regret not going. I've been so busy with work and stuff, so I didn't get to make it out. And yeah, it sounds like such an amazing time, and I can't wait for next year. But yeah, that's so cool. So like, anything that you want. Okay, wait. First of all, okay, wait. You said that there's two.
Say again?
2 states?
I'm sorry, say it again.
There's 2 states that have your cigars?
No, there's a few states.
A few. Can you
tell
what state? So the people that are watching, if they're in that state, they can go grab one?
Sure. So it's not public yet, but I will say one of them is California. Okay. We also have Nebraska. That's where Brandon's from, obviously. Uh, so we have a couple states in between, but I'm gonna drop the list all at once, and it's gonna be all of Europe and whatever's in the states, and then
Okay,
obviously online as well.
awesome. That I love it. That's and what like anything you want to tell the viewers, the followers, the people that are like super interested in trying your cigar. Anything you want to tell them?
Um, you're gonna love it. I don't know. Can't wait for you to try it. I like to let other folks speak about the cigar themselves. Like I see a couple people here, see Josie, obviously. But I love hearing the feedback from people, even if it's not what I want to hear. Like I want to hear the bad feedback too. Like if somebody for some reason doesn't like enjoy the cigar, whether it's because they received the package and wasn't there was some issue with the construction or whatever the case is, that's fine. I love to hear the feedback, but I let other people speak for the cigars, and so far it's been amazing feedback. So, I can't wait for you guys to try it.
Yeah, when I first tried your cigar and I went live and I opened it up and all my team was worried, "That's okay with me smoking?" They're like, "Yeah, it's fine." And one of my employees was like, he's like, "Oh, I want to try that." So he was like, they could smell like it smelled so good. And
Mm,
my office is pretty closed up. I don't have too many windows as you get towards the back of it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's good. It's good. Great, excellent. You guys are gonna love it. I can't wait for you guys to, have it out there and be able to really disclose all these locations and where they can find it. So,
it's exciting.
I'll let people know as you find like you start announcing. I would love to help you announce it. And yeah, I just like this is exciting. This is really exciting for you. And okay, I have one more question. You're a co-founder.
Brandon, yeah.
The other co-founder? Who's the other person? Who's the other person involved? Are they
Jeff Moss. Jeff
person?
Moss, creative director, and then Brendan Dahlman, the
Oh,
co-founder. Yeah.
okay. So they're okay. But you're more of like you're like the face. You're gonna be the face of the brand. So we better
Essentially. So here's the thing. I'm the one that speaks the language. I have the connection to the land. I know how to handle my people essentially. So like, anyone that has done business in a third world country knows it's a nightmare to get anything done logistically. Where it doesn't matter what country it is, it's all the same. What I found across the board. So you got to know how to work in island time, and that means you just have to be that kind of person that's like on someone's butt, like persistent and just continuously getting the ball rolling. So that's essentially what I do. And obviously knowing the language and then having the family legacy, the heritage, and all that. Brandon is amazing when it comes to strategy, and then also just kind of adding his own 2 cents on any operational goals, because he has a lot of business experience. He's a serial entrepreneur. Like before crypto, he was already a boss in the Midwest, running businesses and such. So that's kind of like our relationship, how we handle that. And then obviously we have, like I said, Jeff Moss on the creative side. He's kind of the brains behind all the marketing and all the branding, designing, and all that.
branding and designing. And you have a marketing background. So
Yes. So
like
yeah.
double
Mhm.
check all his stuff. You're like, okay, like you work with him.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say double check. More so like I take what he gives me and then I know how to apply it. So, for instance, like we did a really badass photography session in Dominican Republic, and it was during the harvest week. So we flew out a crew, all of Jeff's people, like 5 individuals or so, and they were taking shots and videos of everything. So then we had to come back, and I had to know how to kind of disperse that and put it out into the world and shit. So I just went back into my roots and I started applying like marketing campaigns and sprinkling content here and there, just different strategies for getting that out there and getting as many eyeballs as possible on there.
So you're ready. You're ready to go. You're like, let's do this. So exciting. So very exciting. Cheers to you.
Cheers. I'm done.
Are you feeling tipsy?
A little bit. This stuff is strong. It's been sitting there a long time. I'm gonna drink some
So
water.
maybe we can do something together where we can like maybe do like some type of giveaway, and we'll send out like 10 cigars because I know
Yeah.
Juan trying. So maybe we can talk like off the grid and like see what we can do to hook up everybody that's really intrigued with the brand, your cigar. They really want to try it. I'm sure they're like, oh, I want to try it. Like, they see me smoking it. It's everywhere. And we love
Right.
it. It's great. Whoever's tried it is loving it. So thank you so much for taking time today to tell us your story. And do you see any questions coming up? I see you reading them.
Yeah, I'm like, look at this.
Trying to see if anything. There's a lot of conversations going on right now. But yeah, so you definitely got to try these cigars. So are you guys down for like a giveaway? Maybe we'll do some type of giveaway so you guys can try the cigars out. I think that'll be really cool. And TPE, PCA, you're going to be there.
Yep.
So make sure you guys go follow their page and stay connected.
Yep.
But announcing everything on your page as it comes along, right?
Right. Yeah. All the information, everything regarding the merch and the leather cases, the cigar drops, the retailers we'll be working with, all that's going to be obviously on the website. But if you want to get it firsthand when it first comes out, definitely follow us on IG at Don Doroteo Cigars. Same as every other social media platform, same across the board, Don Doroteo Cigars.
Where can they find you? Because some people like certain platforms. Are you in Facebook?
So we're on Facebook, Twitter, IG, Telegram. Telegram is more so like messaging. So if you want to hit me up directly and have a conversation and just...
Girls, he's married, so calm down.
Right. My wife's probably watching like, oh, hell no.
You can send
There
me
you go.
no.
So Josie just shared right there my profile. So Don Doroteo Cigars. That's the same thing across the board. Same with the website, dondoroteocigars.com.
Yes, and then anything else to throw out there before we sign off?
I don't want to be Gary V, but I just want to say, if there's something you want to do, you want to pursue, you want to follow, just do it. Don't worry about the naysayers. And dude, I have so many people telling me like, you don't know anything about agriculture. Oh, you need at least 100 acres in Dominican Republic. Look, buddy, you could do whatever you want. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Like Nike says, just do it.
Do it. Yep.
Awesome.
Just that's it. And obviously, thank you. I appreciate you. I love your content, and thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you so much. And I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And thank you for my case and the cigars. And I know once everybody can have access to this, they're going to love it as well. And yeah, thank you. And, maybe we can connect again very soon. Next time you're going to do a drop or anything, we can go live and talk about it.
Yeah, for sure. Would love to.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. And make sure you go follow Don Doroteo Cigars on Instagram. I'll tag you guys, will be tagged anyway. So go follow them. Go check out the website. It's on my bio. And thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you guys for tuning in.